Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So, somewhat of a quick video today, just kind of an update on where we are with the 25-06 because some things did change slightly since I last posted just a few days ago, actually. So, over the weekend, I ended up having to go to Birmingham, Alabama, and the way that there's a couple ways I can head down there from where I live, but the way I went put me going through Coleman, Alabama, and there is a store called Van Sporting Goods. And if you're heading down or heading through Alabama on Interstate 65, it's exit 305 is the easiest way to get there. Take that exit, and it's about maybe a half mile down the road is the sporting goods store. And they have one of the best selections in terms of reloading selections of any store around. I mean, just period, bar none. They have one of the best selections. They have an extremely large selection of bullets from Hornady, Barnes, Berger, Nosler, Spear. That was where, let's see, that was where I picked up a bunch of those guys, those gold dots. And they have a ton of bullets to choose from, different brands. They have a lot of powder sitting on the shelf. They have a ton of primers, thousands and thousands and thousands of primers sitting on the shelf in all different, sizes and brands and you name it. The stuff's all there, right? And as far as equipment goes and die sets, I mean, they've got a ton to choose from. Well, so I noticed their powder. On their powder, of course, they've gone up on their prices like everyone else. But there were still there were still a few options where the powder was reasonably priced, almost on sale, if you will, in today's prices. Because I know some of you guys have mentioned hybrid 100V as a powder that you use in 25-06 and have had good results with. Well, they actually had that powder sitting on the shelf, and they had it for $37.99 a pound, which in today's prices seemed like a really good deal. So I went ahead and picked up a couple of pounds of that just because you guys have provided some feedback on that, said, hey, this is what I use, and I've had good luck with it. So I picked up a couple of pounds of that, and then also they had some Winchester 760, which I've used before for other cartridges. I'm not going to use that in this cartridge, just letting you know that they did have some powder that was still reasonably priced. But picked up 2 pounds of that. They had that for, I think it was $37.99 a pound. And some of the other stuff like the IMR 4350 and the H 4350 is just like what I posted about from Cabela's. I mean, they're charging, $65, $70 a pound. And now Hodgdon Superformance, that was $39 a pound. So there were still some powders that were at least reasonably priced, but the vast majority of them, at this point, you're better off just buying Vitavori powder, in my opinion. I mean, if you're really going to spend that kind of money, you might as well just go get that powder and call it a day. So, but what I ended up doing, I don't have the box of bullets out here with me, but I picked up some of these guys, some Nosler 100 grain ballistic tips. So we're going to give those a shot in the 25-06 project. And then also, of course, I did mention these guys. I picked these up. And I was looking at the load data online and in the Barnes manual. The Barnes manual, this number 4, I think this is their latest edition maybe. I don't think they've put out another one since then, but it's pretty outdated in terms of the information that's in there. Like they don't have the 100 grain tip TSX, and they don't have the 101 LRX in here as an option, but they do online. They have that data available, and it's the exact same data as the 100 grain TSX boat tail. So copy paste that data. It's the exact same. I did double check online and then reference the manual just to make sure. But on this one, I'm probably going to go with Reloader 22. I have that pound of Reloader 22, so I'll probably give that a try for these guys. And then for the Nosler stuff, they're showing their most accurate powder tested was Reloader 19, and that also gives the highest velocities. And I have that Midwest Powders sort of, I guess if you want to call it a comparable powder to Reloader 19. That's the data that they want you to use whenever you go and, you know, purchase that powder and you start looking for load data using it. They say, hey, go off Reloader 19 data because it has, you know, similar burn characteristics. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that powder to test that particular bullet, and yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I've got the Hornady full-length sizing die set up in the press. I do have to have a pretty significant, see if you guys can hear it. Yeah, you hear that, right? I mean, that's a very solid cam over. Pretty tight fitment there between the ram shell holder and the die. That's a pretty aggressive cam over. That's one of the more aggressive cam overs that I've had during resizing, but that only pushes this shoulder back 1,000. These are 2.040 using the comparator, right? And then pushing them back 2.039. Well, when I measured this fired brass, because this is all once fired stuff that I'm messing with, but it wasn't once fired in the rifle that I'm using for the project. When I measured it, it was, oh no, excuse me. So this was the once fired, so it's 2.040, right? I've already said that. I'm pushing it back about 1,000. But the once fired stuff in the rifle that I'm using, that's the Ruger M77 Hawkeye, I did measure this stuff as well, and it's 2.042. So it's 0.02 in terms of the shoulder moving forward over this once fired stuff, right? So the chambers are pretty close in terms of dimensionally and everything from whatever rifle this stuff was fired in versus the one that I'm using for the project. So that's good, right? That there isn't some weird, you know, I'm not working the brass too much. It is interesting that I have to get that aggressive of a cam over just to bump the brass, just to bump the shoulder back 1 thou. That was a little bit interesting, but in general, you know, that's the setup. That's what I'm running with. Everything cycles just fine, no problems whatsoever, no issues. Yeah, that's it. That's really short and sweet video. I'm using some Imperial sizing die wax from Redding. Gonna get that stuff. There you go. Gonna get that stuff set up and on the brass, get it all lubed up, good to go, get everything resized. And then on this stuff, I believe I mentioned it in the video, these 25, I will probably go ahead and load up with the H4831 load and the Meguiar ballistics. Just load those 25 up. I'll shoot 5 just to make sure that the zero, you know, everything lines up properly and our point of impact is similar to whatever other bullet I'm gonna go with, because I'd like to turn over a couple of different options for them to use, but I want the point of impact to be the same. That way there's no concern, no issue whatsoever between the two in terms of which one they grab. So yeah, so there we go. That's sort of the plan. I've still got the 90 grain GMX that I'm probably gonna circle back to, but this is the 95 grain Copper Rose for Meguiar ballistics, and then of course I got the 100 grain Barnes and then the 100 grain Nosler ballistic tip. So I want to see which ones shoot really well between those two particular bullets, and then that's probably what we're going to load up in addition to the Meguiar ballistics to turn over to them. So that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. I got to get this brass prepped, and then I need to also get the rest of this 25-06 brass that I've already shot, get it decapped, wet tumble it, kind of get it in the cycle of back in the testing. So all right, so we're going to leave it, guys. Short, sweet video, less than 10 minutes. Look at me go. All right, don't forget, if you guys need anything reloading related or firearms related, you know, the place that I recommend, number one, is Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville, Alabama. But then you've also heard me talk about Vans Sporting Goods over in Coleman, Alabama. I just happened to be wandering by that direction this weekend, picked up some stuff. So shout out to them and Mr. Big Guns over in Huntsville. Y'all go check them out. That's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time. Y'all have a good one.